So today, we're going to dive into a really personal story from the American home front during World War II. It's a story that gets at this strange, fascinating paradox. How do you even begin to build a life and find opportunity when you're living in the shadow of a global war?
And it all kind of boils down to this one simple but incredibly powerful New Year's resolution from the very last night of 1942. It comes from a young guy, Fred Seaver, and it just captured the single most important goal for an entire generation, just making it through.
I want you to just picture the scene for a second. It's a small apartment in San Diego. You've got a group of friends, including Fred and his wife Betty, and they're trying to celebrate New Year's. But while they're listening to the countdown from Times Square, you can just feel the uncertainty in the air. Their resolutions, they're not about losing weight or reading more books. They're about survival, about avoiding the draft, about whether it's even right to bring a child into such a broken world.
But, and this is where it gets interesting, amidst all of that fear, something else was happening. The war was creating this strange side effect, huge, unprecedented opportunity. So let's break down how this actually played out for Fred and Betty.
Okay, so right before the new year, Fred gets this massive promotion at the Roar Aircraft Factory. All of a sudden, he's a senior material controller managing a team of 5 people. And the reason? It's pretty straightforward. Leadership gaps were just opening up everywhere as men enlisted. The war was literally fast-tracking his career.
And of course, a promotion like that came with a pretty serious pay bump. With Betty also working, their combined income jumped from around $100 a week to $125. Now, for a young couple in 1943, that was a life-changing amount of money. In fact, Betty's reaction pretty much says it all. She, only half joking, told Fred, "We're rich." I mean, it was enough for them to start seriously thinking about buying a house, about building a real, tangible future, a dream that probably felt completely out of reach just a year before.
But here's the thing. All this success, it came with a pretty heavy dose of guilt. Fred's words really get to the heart of the paradox, right? How do you feel good about your own good fortune when you know it's tied to this global tragedy? Now, Betty pushed back a little. She argued they weren't benefiting from the war, they were doing essential work during it. And that's a really key distinction, but you can tell that feeling of unease. It was always there.
And this wasn't just Fred's story either. Betty was also becoming totally indispensable at her job. She was taking on so much more responsibility, attending engineering meetings, tracking all the action items, that she was basically running her boss's entire office. The war was changing everything, for both of them. So you have all this professional success, this new financial stability, but simmering just beneath the surface was this constant, underlying anxiety. Because opportunity was only one side of the coin. The other side? That was worry.
During a quiet moment near the end of January, Fred asks Betty a question that just cuts right to the heart of it all. He asks, after 6 months of being married in these totally strange times, what's been the hardest part?
And her answer is so telling. It wasn't about the long hours or the tight budget, it was just the worry. This constant fear that everything they were building, their careers, their home, their whole life together, could just be snatched away in an instant.
And you have to understand, this wasn't some vague, abstract fear. It had very specific sources. There was the constant threat of the draft hanging over Fred's head, a global war with absolutely no end in sight, and then just the immense pressure of their new, high-stakes jobs.
So, how did they cope with all that? I mean, how do you build a meaningful life when it feels like the whole world is falling apart? Well, they focused on the things they could actually control: their work, their home, and their relationships.
Just look at this timeline from a single month. It tells you everything you need to know about how dense life was. A new job, an anniversary, a friend having a baby. Life wasn't on hold for the war. If anything, it was speeding up, with all these personal milestones happening right alongside the relentless pace of world events.
A huge piece of their support system was their community. When their friends, the Tazalars, had their baby, everyone immediately rallied. People brought casseroles, bread, cookies. As Betty put it, this is what community is for, taking care of each other, especially during the hard times.
But ultimately, their greatest source of strength, their real anchor, was each other. When Fred asked what the best part of their marriage was, Betty didn't say it was the promotions or the extra money. She said it was this: the small, ordinary moments. Making dinner together, working in the garden. That simple, quiet comfort of just being together. That was everything.
So where does all this leave us? What's the big takeaway here? It's really about understanding this dual reality of their lives, a reality that frankly was shared by millions of people on the home front. This slide just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you have these incredible gains. New careers, money in the bank, a strong marriage, a close community. But on the other side, you've got these profound anxieties about the draft, the war, and a future that was a total question mark. They lived with both of those things, every single day.
Look, their life was anything but perfect. It was stressful, it was tiring, and it was absolutely filled with worry. But the really crucial takeaway here is that it was theirs. Right in the middle of all this global chaos, they were carving out the small piece of the world for themselves, building a home and a future on their own terms.
And that really just says it all, doesn't it? It wasn't the life they might have planned for in peacetime, but it was the life they had. And in the face of such overwhelming uncertainty, just having each other, having work that felt like it mattered, and having a place to call home, well, for now, that was enough.